So we're going to look at the second day of the triangle properties unit. Your homework tonight is going to be the day 2 worksheet. And we're going to talk about what's called the triangle side sum theorem. It's pretty quick, so let's jump right into it. So the triangle side sum theorem says that the sum of the lengths of any two sides of a triangle is greater than the length of the third side. So if you have two pieces, have to add up and be bigger than the third one. So you take the two smaller pieces, add them up. If they're bigger than the third side, then it can make a triangle. If they are smaller than the third side, it actually cannot make a triangle. The two pieces will be too short to connect. So the way you determine this is if we look at our first example here, we have sides of 9, 15, and 12. So to determine if this can make a triangle or not, we're actually going to take and add the two smaller sides, 9 and 12, to get 21. And then we want to ask ourselves, is 21 greater than the third side, which is 15? And in this case, it is greater than it. So yes, it can form a triangle. The second example over here, we have 23, 16, and 7. So what we want to do is take 16 and 7, add them together. And I know my face is blocking this here, but it says 23. So we're asking ourselves, is 23 greater than 23? In this case, no, they're equal. So this cannot form a triangle. It says down here, form a triangle. So that's the first part of the triangle side sum theorem, that if you add the two smallest sides together, they must be bigger than the third side. The next thing we can look at here is determining a range of values for the third side. So if you're given two sides, you can figure out where the third side must lie. Not the exact value, but the general length of it, like whereabouts it is. So if we look at two sides of a triangle are 5 and 3, we want to know between what two numbers must the measure of the third side lie. So we're going to do two parts here. First, we're going to find the lower bound by subtracting them, finding the difference. And then we're going to find the upper bound by adding them, finding the sum. So we're taking 5 and we're taking 3, and we're going to go ahead and add them, subtract them to get a 2, and we're going to add them together to get 8. So what this means, and you should write this in the notes, is that the third side must be between 2 and 8. It can't be 2 and it can't be 8. It can be 2.1, it can be 7.9, it cannot be 2, it cannot be 8. It's somewhere in between them. So, looking at the second one, pause the video for a second and see if you can determine the range of values that the third side of that triangle could be. So if we have two sides that are 23 and 14, the first thing we'll do is subtract them to get 9 as our lower bound, and then we're going to add them to get 37 as our upper bound. So it will be between 9 and 37. The last example here is talking about a plot of land from this diagram. So it's a triangular plot of land. It has a perimeter of 34 yards. So we want to find the length in yards of each side of the figure. So I want you to pause it for a second and see if you can find the length of each side of that figure. Okay, so if we are looking for perimeter, that means that we have to add up all three sides. So we'll have x plus 3 plus 3x minus 1 plus 4x, and that's going to equal 34 because that's what we were told our perimeter was. From there, we can simplify down to 8x plus 2 equals 34. We would subtract 2 from both sides and then divide by 8 to get x equals 4. And then you're going to plug back in x plus 3 is 7, 3x minus 1 is 11, and 4x equals 16. So this answers the first part up here, to find the length of the three sides, so 7, 11, and 16. The next part, and again I know my face is covering part of it, says could these measures actually represent the sides of a triangle? Explain your answer. Pause this and think about it for a second before moving on. So if we look back to what we just learned on the last couple of slides, we know that the sum of the two smaller sides, so in this case 7 and 11, has to be bigger than the third side, 16. So if we look, 7 plus 11 is 18, so yes, these could actually represent a triangle. If we had gotten some different numbers and our two smaller sides were not bigger than the third one, we could not form a triangle. But in this case, 7 plus 11 gives us 18, which is bigger than 16, so yes, it would work. Again, your homework for tonight is going to be the day 2 worksheet. There's 21 questions on there. It shouldn't take you too long. The first 8 are about, 10 seconds apiece. So good luck on that, and I hope you have a spectacular day. I'll talk to you later.